What's your favorite scary movie?
Do you ever fantasize about
damn enchiladas?
That's much too vulgar display of power, Karen.
Let me ask you one question. Are you having fun?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Because I promise you, you and I are going to have some fun.
Oh, no.
It is time to keep your appointment with the Wicker Man.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Shut up, you bitch hog.
Game over.
How do I do all this again? It's only been 2 weeks, and I feel like it always feels like it's a lot longer.
It does feel like it's a lot longer. But I guess it's been, for me anyway, it's been a busy couple of weeks.
Oh, no, ditto as well.
Yeah,
but I forget how this works after only 2 weeks. So tappity tap tap. We're on. Are we live? Is the live sign on? Are we live?
Are we live?
Are we good?
Am I live?
We're live. Welcome back to the Dreadcast, folks. One and all. My name is Tom. This is the lovely and soon to not be so lovely Aidan.
Hello.
And I'm just going to get it in right now. Folks, you do remember, if we do have a mailbag here, if you want to send anything in, any trivia, any newsletters, any subscriptions you want to sign us up to, send it on over to thedreadcastpodcast at gmail.com. What's that email?
thedreadcastpodcast@gmail.com.
There it is. Just want to I'm getting that straight in there, straight out the way.
Have you checked it recently? Is there anything in there?
Let's go check the mailbag.
How many emails about magical African roots do we have?
Magical African roots.
Yeah, that'll increase your performance.
Oh, that we need to send money to.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, Nigerian princes.
Oh, hang on. 23rd of October, titled "Scary Good Opportunity."
Oh,
from one Dominic Wallace. Okay. This isn't actually. Oh, this is disappointing. This is a legit email.
Oh,
but it's a mailing list email from the creators of In Search of Darkness.
Oh yeah,
I signed up with them because the next installment's coming out soon from In Search of Darkness, not 1990 to 94.
This is their 1990s one, not
the dark
video
period.
Game one.
No, this is the dark period of horror.
Yeah,
the early 90s. I actually, the problem is In Search of Darkness is probably the trilogy, probably the best horror documentaries I've watched in God knows how long.
Yeah. The
problem is you can't get them anywhere. You can't buy them. They had a limited sale release physically and digitally. Although you may be able to still get it digitally, I'm not sure. But I managed to acquire it elsewhere. If you can acquire In Search of Darkness 1, 2, and 3, and you love horror, go out your way to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will not be disappointed. They're not even on. I think 1 or 2. 1 is on Shudder. 2.
I think they're available on Amazon,
but not all of them.
For rental.
1 isn't. I know that. I think 2 you have to buy, and 3 you can watch if you've got a subscription.
Oh. Yeah, it's a while since I've watched it. That's just coming up because that's not telling me which part that is.
We'll fucking get to the point of subscriptions in a minute when we get into today's film. Yeah, that was a little mailing list email about In Search of Darkness 1990 to 94. But yeah, highly recommend checking them out. Did you watch all 3 of them?
Yeah, I've seen all 3 of them. Yeah, I think I watched them multiple times, to be honest. They're brilliant.
About 5 hours long.
Yeah, I know.
Each of them. Yeah.
I know. It's certainly a lot of bang for your buck. Yeah, they're a really good watch.
The amount of people they managed to get for interviews and that. All the famous directors, actors that you would associate with horror.
I mean, basically everybody.
Everyone.
And then, a lot of like notable fans, celebrities and stuff. I know it's Corey Taylor is on the cast there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a brilliant watch. I have watched it multiple times. So when is the next one due? That's
well, let me just check my official mailing list letter.
It does. I'm on the IMDb page. It does say expected November of this year.
I do believe we are in November.
We are in November of this year.
Here we go. we've just started our pre-sales campaign for Research and Darkness 1990 to 94, and we'd love to partner with you again. Never partnered with me once. To help promote it, orders close at midnight at Halloween with digital items ship in November and Blu-ray packages in December. Brackets estimated. So yeah, this month and next month, they will be out. But sat down with 40 amazing voices of horror: John Carpenter, Mike Flanagan, Heather Langenkamp, Mike Gross, and Akela Cooper. I'm not sure that name. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be another solid documentary. I kind of hope they just keep going with it. Really, maybe
so.
go back to the late 70s. Do 74 to 78.
Yeah, I mean they do, and they are doing a video game one as well, aren't they?
And they did a short documentary on The Thing as well.
Is that called Terabytes?
Yeah, it is Terabytes. Yeah, very, very clever name
with a Y. Yeah,
very clever.
The evolution of horror gaming.
If you'll pardon the pun. Yeah. Oh, well, there was a little bit of news there from the mailbag.
Yeah. Well, there is some other news as well.
Sad news.
Sad news.
Very sad news to start off with, yes.
Unfortunately, the actor Tony Todd has passed away.
Yes.
Announced, it was a few days ago, but it was certainly this morning when I heard about it. It was the first thing I saw when I
it was announced this morning.
Picked my phone up. Obviously best known for Candyman, playing the titular character in that. But he's been in quite a lot of the Final Destination franchise.
I mean, you put the word horror legend or icon around, but I never really liked so much the term horror legend or icon. He was more just a mainstay in the world of horror. But yeah, popping up in a small, very small part in Final Destination films.
Yeah,
but
Final
as an
Destination.
actor, he was such a superb actor that his parts were so notable in those films.
Yeah,
it's such a small role, but yeah, he was superb. And taking on Night of the Living Dead remake,
Wishmaster, Hatchet.
Yes, Hatchet. He was always kind of a bit of the exposition guy.
He's certainly that in Final Destination, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's his role in that. I'm just looking. There's a bunch of something called Hellblazers, and a bunch of. A bunch of. I think it's probably fair to say, within the bargain basement.
Yeah. When I say icon of horror, I'm not talking your big boys, but yeah, no, it's a big shame because he has such an iconic voice as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
if you heard an audio clip of that voice, you knew it was Tony Todd.
Actually, speaking of which, he was also in Horror Noir, which is a history of black horror, which is also a very good watch. Another documentary. I found that on Amazon. I don't know if it's still there. Possibly on Shudder. I think Shudder has got a fairly decent horror documentary section, and I remember going through most of it over the space of a few weeks. So yeah, that's good. That's an interesting watch, and obviously deals with the Candyman franchise and stuff in quite a big way, with it being one of I guess the big poster boy for African American characters in cinema, in particular horror cinema and stuff like that.
I'd say so, especially horror.
Yeah,
especially horror. Yeah, no doubt. A big shame, especially at 69.
Yeah, it wasn't. He was younger than I realised. I was expecting him to be a bit older than that, but yeah, it is.
Same.
It is a shame.
So he was only. He did Night of the Living. So he was 30. 34. He was 35 in Night of the Living Dead. And that, again, Night of the Living Dead, that's a strong role to try and take on after Dwayne Jones in the original. He's such a good character in that. Big shame. Shame. I'm not sure what the cause of death was, but it's neither here nor there.
No. Sad news. I don't think there's anything else going on that I know about.
Not really. I mean, the span of 2 weeks since we've been off, personally, I've probably been too busy to take in any horror news.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to see Heretic with Hugh Grant. Been interested to see what his take on a horror role is going to be.
Yeah.
Looks very interesting.
That's the sort of the two people that are like Jehovah's Witnesses or something going to his house.
Yeah.
And yeah. I've seen the trailer for it and I'm intrigued by it. And he's not really known as playing a villain as such.
No, not at all.
I mean, I guess he kind of plays a bit of a villain in the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh, sorry, yes, Dungeons and Dragons. Not Bridget Jones.
And technically Bridget Jones as well.
Jones, yeah.
But that's what I was going to say. That he's like, that's the kind of villain that is known for. Is just being a bit of a dick, like not like full-fledged evil, not murderous, just a bit of a bounder and a cad. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see him play something like actually dark and evil. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm also interested to see what our American cousins think about that, because I think Hugh Grant is the quintessential Englishman, isn't he? And I think when
always
it seems to be the stereotype of like how they see us across the pond
stuttering
is that sort of bumbling.
I'm ever so sorry.
Yeah. So to see him actually do some murder or something, that might be actually I think that'll be interesting to see.
Give us a bit of murder.
Give us some, yeah.
The only thing I've really got to mention before we get on to is I had another lovely delivery yesterday.
Oh yeah.
From friends of the show, Second Sight Films. Long time friends of the show.
Yes.
And I got the lovely Blair Witch.
That's a nice box.
Oh, the boxes are just so smells new as well. But this is very special because this contains the 16mm footage that was never aired with the theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the film was meant to be watched.
Yeah,
it's all in here. And I'm very excited for it. Yeah. Very excited, especially along with documentaries featuring directors. Oh, you got directors, producers, audio commentary, loads of deleted scenes. I'm not actually sure because it wasn't that long ago that there was a huge article that came out with the original cast, basically stating they received nothing from this film.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if they're involved with this, but regardless, I'm very excited to dive deeper into everything about this film. I adore the Blair Witch, but Second Sight always deliver. Very nice. Do disc. As per usual, postcards stay where they are.
Yep.
Little book. I mean, these books, you could buy this in.
Wow, that's a proper. That's not like a little, 10-page pamphlet.
Do you hear that?
Yeah. That's
a
proper
book. That's a book.
Proper tome. A proper bound tome is that.
Similar to the Texas Chainsaw one and the Witch one. Like I could put these up on a nice little bookshelf.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much. Look at that. There's writing and pages. You see that?
Yeah.
There's words about that big in there.
Actual, more than 2-syllable words.
What's also really cool is you get this book.
Oh, is this okay? I like stuff. If this is what I think it is, I like stuff like this. Is this like the character's actual field notebook sort of?
This is Heather's journal.
Alexa, nobody's asking you anything. Be quiet.
Oh, spooky shenanigans happening. This is this is Heather's handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am not 100%. I'm not 100% if this is The characters, I was the lucky one. I was the one that got the real one. Let me just.
If it's from the character's perspective or whether it's the actor.
That's what I think because they use their real names. It's they didn't have character names.
I imagine it's the character.
Yeah, I think it is.
I hope so. Like I say, I do like stuff like that. I do like little tie-in things, written from the character's point of view or whatever.
Yeah, I believe it is from the characters because we got here, for example, 1994, 19th of October, into the first day of shooting tomorrow, intro and Mary interview for Tomorrow for Sure, Coffin Rock Saturday, and hopefully the cemetery on Sunday. Anticipation, relaxation, near impossible. The guys got all the equipment together and threw in some of their own money for sleeping bag and rental. So yeah, it's from the character's perspective, but it's a really cool little thing. Yeah. Again, all of this was about £40.
That's awesome.
Like, that's crazy good value.
Yeah.
For a collector's perspective. So yeah, that's probably the one other thing I got as of late, horror related.
Beautiful.
I'm really intrigued about today's episode.
Yeah.
So this is, as we mentioned on the last episode, we've got 4 episodes left. The rest of 2024, and they are all your picks because of the fact you are departing.
Yep.
I've had my cry. I've had my beating up a boxing bag to get rid of the frustration. Everything's good. It's fine. So your first film that you picked was one you hadn't seen.
Nope.
And that's what I am very interested about with today. And what was that film?
It was Audition. From 1999.
It's Takashi Miike's absolute classic.
Yes.
Now, did you know anything about this film?
Bits. Like I knew the general premise.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I've seen it, possibly on a documentary, but I've seen sort of bits. So yeah, I kind of vaguely knew what I was getting into. And it's one of those films that's just been on the list for like forever. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch that at some point. And I've never really felt in the mood for it. But I figured, now it'd be a great time to do it. So that's why I picked it. So yeah, I knew the basic premise, and I knew that things took a sharp turn. Towards the end of the film, and that was kind of it. And I'd not really looked into it any more than that. Really, just wanted to try and go in with it as a fresher perspective as possible. On the subject and related, I was in Waterstones the other day, and it's based on a novel. I didn't realize that.
It is indeed, and I had no idea either.
No.
I've seen this film many times before.
I just randomly found it on the show. I was like, oh, a book called Audition, and the author seems to be Japanese. I wonder.
But it's not so much an old novel.
No, the published in 97.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's only
quite a quick turnaround. Yeah, I had no idea either. What I will say is, though, I hope now you can see that it's what I always tell people about this film is that this is even more so than many other horror films. One that if you want to watch it, do not Google a single thing about it. Mm-hmm. You need to know nothing about this film going into it. You need to go in blind to this film. Because also, this episode today, we're reviewing, this is probably the first, I would say, episode we've done where we're basically reviewing or talking about a film that's not horror for 95% of the film.
No, I mean, talking about a slow burn, this is a very, very, very slow. This is not so much even a smolder for a good chunk of it. It's you'd be forgiven to think that this is a drama, just a basic, drama, love story, or whatever you want to call it for most of its runtime.
So I'm gonna stop anyone now who's listening to this, who's just decided to click onto this because you love us so much. I know. Don't worry. Or you have any interest in the film Audition but not seen it. Stop listening to us.
Yeah.
Go watch the film. Come back. I'm gonna say it now. It is a big recommendation. No, normally some reason we'd say that at the end of the episode, but we've got to 97 episodes, and it's worth saying it now. At the beginning. It is a huge recommendation. Go watch it. That's from me. I don't know about yourself. Yeah, there we go. Spoilers ahead. Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Interesting.
Yes, I did. On the whole, I did enjoy it. Would I watch it again? Probably not. I think one and done is enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it went. I think it, and this is probably testament to the fact that I'd seen and heard bits and pieces about it, but I had waited such a long time to actually watch it. I think I was expecting it to go a little bit further than it did. And I don't want to, again, no spoilers, just in case anybody is still listening.
No, spoilers are gone. We're doing spoilers now. It's fine.
But I think, when the violence does kick off, and there is some pretty gruesome violence in there, or at least in plot. We don't necessarily see everything that has happened, but it's an implication that there's some pretty brutal stuff that's gone on. I don't think it was quite as graphic as I was maybe expecting, which I don't know. Like, I've seen it, like I say, I've seen it mentioned on documentaries and stuff like that before, and I guess maybe what I was led to believe, or what in my head I was expecting, was something a lot more gratuitous and graphic than ultimately is there. So I think my initial impression after watching it was, oh, well, I was expecting like a borderline snuff film, I think, and it was like, it's not that bad. It doesn't...
It's not that bad, no, and it's labelled as that bad, though. It is labelled that bad whenever you see it on top horror film lists or whatever. It is labelled. It's not that bad.
It's labelled as being one of these sort of like martyrs at the extreme. It's an extreme horror, and I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's quite chilling and disturbing at times.
But I think it works. There's a lot more psychological work.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot more psychological work going on. And that is to say, that was my initial impression. And I watched it like almost a week ago now. So, in fact, probably more than a week ago now, actually. So I think I've been thinking about it in the period since I watched it, and I think I can appreciate it more for being, it's not an all-out gore fest, and it's not,
far from it.
That it's meant to be that more psychological, have that more psychological effect, and having sat with it for a few days, I think I can appreciate it more. I still don't necessarily feel like I'll need to watch it again anytime soon, if at all. But I'm happy to say, like, I've watched it, and I did enjoy it for what it was.
I mean, it's a hell of a difference to Miike's other films, such as like Ichi the Killer, in violence and gore. It's a completely different shift of tone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen Ichi the Killer, that's wild. Very bloody, very violent. Whereas this, like you said, is a lot more. It's chilling, disturbing, psychological.
There's a lot that's not said. I think that's what it is. There's a lot of implied things that just add to that sort of creeping, I don't know, sense of dread, I guess, or it's kind of difficult to fully hate Asami as the villain of the piece.
Yeah, that's where I think the film is very clever, where Asami, our main antagonist that we find out towards the end, there's reasons for her actions. It's not so much reasons that you should be agreeing with constantly, but you can see from her perspective why she does what she does in a way. Maybe not so much the actions she commits to our main character, because he's not been as aggressive to her as men in the past have been.
Uh-huh.
But you can maybe see why she's so fucked up and
Yeah.
messed up and wants revenge or justice.
She's a victim.
Oh, entirely. But the whole film plays on the theme of, you know, Japan's patriarchal society and the loneliness that they can feel. I mean, it's just such a hectic work culture out there that loneliness is so prevalent.
Yeah.
Hence why our main character, got a lot of notes here. What's his name? Shit. Shigeharu. After losing his wife right at the beginning, do you remember how? Is it 7 years past or?
I think it's 7 years. Yeah, it is 7 years.
Yeah, and he wants to. His wife passes at the beginning of the film, and he wants to remarry after 7 years. So sets up a fake audition with a friend of his who is a film producer. So it's basically setting up an audition for a lead female character for a fake film, so that he can sort of scout which one he really has an interest in.
Although I don't think
purposes.
it is a fake film, is it? I think his director friend says that he will make the film. It's like a little side bonus thing, because I think he says at one point that you won't. The girl that you pick won't be the main star of the film.
Yeah.
But
It's
I am
fake
going to
for
make
them.
this film.
Yeah, he's still interested in it. But over time of casting auditions, he becomes attracted to one certain application of Asami, who we just mentioned.
I mean, almost instantly. And
instantly.
That the rest, the whole sort of audition process beyond that is for him, like, sort of null and void. He's basically just waiting with bated breath to get to Asami, because he's already sort of fallen in love with her from her application essay.
Yeah. I just asked, where did you watch this film?
Where?
Yeah. Don't say living room.
Well, I didn't. It wasn't my living room. Where did I watch it? Amazon, I think.
Did you get the free trial?
I got the BFI subscription. Yeah.
Yeah. God, I could have sworn this was on Shudder. So when I went to watch it, I was like, okay, I'll just find it on Shudder. Oh, it's not there. Okay, have I got it on my hard drives? Unfortunately, no. Okay, let's go check other stream. It's on Prime, yeah, but you got to get the free trial.
You've got to get the extra BFI subscriction.
So I'm already paying for the streaming service.
Yeah.
But then I've got to do another one on top of that. I know it's a free trial, but it's not the point.
No, well,
fucking ridiculous.
On the plus side, I agree with you. It is ridiculous. But on the plus side, the BFI channel has got a lot of excellent films on it.
Yeah, probably.
So if you get that free trial, just try and get as much out of it as you can, which is exactly what I'm doing. So because I watched Starvaker immediately after, because it was on there, and
Right.
There's a lot of Kurosawa and a lot of a lot of other sort of classic and art films and things on there. There's quite a good selection of weird horror stuff as well. I've had a BFI subscription previously, so I was thrilled for the fact that I was allowed to get the free trial again, because I would.
Yeah, it's weird how they sort of work for all the different subscriptions. Like Paramount is on there. It's like there's a cut-off point where you can then get the free trial again.
Yeah, so a certain amount of time must have passed that allowed me to do it again. But yeah, generally I agree with you. I don't like that model. I don't like the fact that Amazon has Prime Video, but then there's stuff you've got to buy as well.
Ridiculous.
Or rent. I mean, I understand it with the newer things, but there's a lot of like older stuff that they just suddenly try and gouge a bit more money out of you for.
Well, I watched it on the Internet Archive for free.
Oh, is it on there? Oh, okay.
It
is. Good old Internet Archive coming through strong again.
If you want to watch Audition, it's on there in full, great quality, and the subs are great as well. Everything's great on Internet Archive. Go there.
Excellent.
We got a lot of our classical monsters.
Our Universal
films
Monster
on there.
movies are all on there, yeah. Well, if you want to watch anything pre-1930, it's definitely on there.
It's all there. But I don't know how familiar you are with Miike's work, Takashi Miike's work.
I'm I definitely know the name. I've definitely seen the name. I have just been scouting on IMDb, trying to find some other things that I've seen. Obviously, he's been quite prolific, and he's done a lot of odd episodes of anime that I have no idea about. But I've definitely seen his name on some stuff.
Ichi the Killer, Audition, probably
which I haven't seen, but I'm aware of.
Most notable ones. But he also directed the original One Missed Call.
Oh, okay.
One Missed Call was it was remade, obviously, the Western in the mid 2000s. I've never seen the original, unfortunately. I've seen the remake, and it's nothing special. But I'm going to assume, I'm going to put an assumption out there that his original is far superior. He's worked on a lot of anime/video game adaptations. So there's Ace Attorney, Yakuza. That Yakuza film, actually, I've seen a bit of, and it's really bad.
I was going to say he seems to have done quite a few Yakuza films, but not based on goofy video game Yakuza films. Sort of violent crime thrillers.
Ichi the Killer, Audition, whose most notable films. Both very good.
Hang on a minute. You're forgetting...
What?
Oh, no, it's not. I saw Dead or Alive. I was thinking it was the video game, the Dead or Alive video game movie. It's not. It's a different movie.
Well, there was a Dead or Alive film with...
it's got...
Racist from Neighbours. Holly Valance.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's really
it's awful.
It's really bad. This is a different Dead or Alive. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is from Ichi the Killer and this.
It's of Ichi the Killer.
Seen his name.
You kind of know what you're going into. With Audition, like I said, you could watch 90% of this film.
Yeah, and it's a long film.
It's a horror.
It's just shy of 2 hours, isn't it? It's what, like 155? So it's a long movie.
But you would really not know this is a horror film if you do go in blind.
No.
And is it a horror film? Is it? It's hard to classify. Is it?
See,
a thriller?
I was wondering that myself after I suggested it, and then I was like thinking, is it a horror? I mean, there are certainly horrific moments.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say so. It's got a lot in common with well, I mean, the sort of final portion where the horror really kicks in, it has a lot in common with say something like, say, Misery. And I think people generally consider that to be a horror film.
Yeah, I think the horror, these sort of films more so comes from class the victim / villain. If you can class them as both categories, being Kathy Bates' character in Misery and Asami in this, because of the way their characters are portrayed, the way they act, their mannerisms, their just everything about them. Something seems very unsettling and not right about them.
Yeah,
very uncanny.
I mean, we definitely get that with Asami in this. It's 47 minutes in before we get a first sort of real.
Would that be when we see her sitting in her apartment with the sack?
The sack, yeah.
Yeah,
that is the sack moment.
There's a lot of shots and cuts in this film that kind of reminded me of some edits from the original Ring or Ringu, where you could be watching a scene with, let's say, Shigehiro just having a conversation with his producer friend. Then suddenly the audio starts to become a bit more chilling and bassy, and then it cuts to, I think it was a clip of Ryoko just standing but next to a tree staring at the camera. Very uncanny shots we just cut to.
Yeah. Or
later on we cut to Asami just standing on the balcony of this hotel in the country or room in the countryside looking out into the ocean. It's just very unsettling, uncanny shots. And similar to the Ringu, we got a lot of that in Ringu, obviously. But,
yeah.
There's a lot of eerie shots sprinkled in throughout.
There's some similar stuff in Battle Royale as well.
Yep.
I'm haven't seen tons of Japanese cinema, but I'm willing to say that it's a well-used device of Japanese cinema, particularly when it's sort of horror leaning, or but I mean, yeah, that bag scene is like 47 minutes in, and then most of the actual sort of horror stuff doesn't come till like 20 minutes before the end, so like an hour 30 in, something like that.
Bag scene though, like you can guess, kind of guess it's a huge sack. You can kind of guess, okay, I think we know what's in it, but it's when it moves, it kind of throws you.
Yeah, but that's it, because you do see it before. There is a shot of it before, and essentially we've got Asami sort of sat like awkwardly on the floor. So her legs are sort of like weirdly bent and splayed, and she's just head down, and her hair's covering her face. In the sort of corner of this like kind of tatty looking apartment, there's a telephone on the floor, and then this big sack, and she's just sort of sat there. And we do get that shot a couple of times. We get a version of it when she's a young girl. That just comes out of nowhere quite early on in the movie, and it's like, who's this? Who's this person? Then we get a shot of her as an adult doing it, and then we get a little bit later, we get the same shot again, and that sack moves. And yeah, you might be anticipating it, but it's slowly, like I say, it's a slow burn, this film, but it does slowly start just drip feeding these little nods to something not being quite right with Asami and her mental state or whatever. But it's drip feeding in the truest sense of the word. They come so very much few and far between to begin with, until it, sort of the dam bursts, if you will, and it all sort of comes out at the end. You need the patience to watch it. I think you need to be interested. You really do. But I think the story helps. I think you can get. I certainly did. I got quite invested in.
It's not boring.
In the story,
I don't believe it's a boring film.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't think it'd be the kind of thing I'd seek out to watch generally. Take all the horror stuff out of it and call it, it's a drama about a single parent, a widowed man, looking to remarry, and he meets a girl, and they fall in love. It's probably not the kind of thing I'd watch generally, but it's presented interestingly enough, and yeah, it kept me going. It kept me intrigued to find out. I mean, like I say, I guess I was kind of expecting a twist and a turn, and I was waiting for it, but I was pulled along, relatively interested in when it was going to start manifesting.
Is that because you knew it was a horror?
I mean, film? Possibly. Like I say, that's probably.
Yeah, you're saying. You were just saying, like, I was interested to see. I say I wouldn't be so interested to watch a man grieving his past wife and then over the years wanting to remarry again and trying to.
Unless I knew that the girl he was remarrying was going to kill him.
Yeah, would you have still be as hooked into that premise if you didn't know it was a horror film?
I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in that position of maybe finding it like on TV. Not knowing what it was, like channel surfing and landing on it and going, oh, what's this?
Because if you, annoyingly, when you search Audition, right? First, you type Audition 1999. The first images that come up are of Asami at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Needle, and that will hook people.
Yeah, that shot.
Oh, what's this about?
That shot with the syringe is quite iconic, isn't it?
But that's a big problem, because if you're looking to get into that film, you see that imagery, what is this about? Okay, I'll check it out.
I mean, the poster that they have on IMDb is her with the piano wire and lots of lines and blood.
and if you get into it, and then you get to the point you're first introduced to Asami, she's all sweet, innocent, and you start to think, hang on, this is not the same. This is not what I assume. The same person that I've just seen looking sadistic and murderous on their poster. Mm-hmm. So you kind of lose the surprise factor, the shock factor of what she turns out to be.
Yeah.
There's the other poster, which I really love, even though she's still on it. It's a very obscure poster. Nope, not that one. That's one of my notes. You can have that one. You can have that. I've just sent you that in Discord. But there's another poster. It's actually, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a very dark looking one with Shigeru's face top left and Asami in the bottom right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. I quite like that. I mean, it doesn't really give too much. Doesn't give too much away.
Yeah, you have got, I guess, the loop of wire through there, but with the red splatters on it. But that doesn't necessarily indicate that's what it is.
No, I just saw the IMDb one you mentioned. That's awful.
Yeah,
that is just marketing. Get it right.
I was lucky to find that because I searched Audition poster, not really thinking about it, and there are a lot of posters for various Amdram productions of things going on around the place. So I'm quite lucky that the actual one I was looking for popped up there.
The audition scene itself, right? What's it about? 20 minutes in? 25 minutes in, maybe? The way it's shot and edited, it may as well be part of a rom-com.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A lot of the quick cuts back to Shigeru and his friend at the desk asking questions, back to the interviewees, back and forth, but with the music, a bit of upbeat jingle music.
It's a supercut of an audition. It's every audition film montage you've seen in any film that required a montage. It required an audition. It just cuts to them asking questions, and he's asking some weirdly personal questions.
Oh, I'm glad you noted that. I noted some of them down.
I did. Go on, go on, read. I didn't write any down, but go for it because they are ridiculous.
2 questions such as, have you ever had sex with someone you didn't like? Or do you ever want to work in the sex industry?
Yeah.
Just questions straight out to these young women.
Yeah, and it makes sense knowing what we know, the audience, that this audition is a ruse to find I've forgotten his name again. To find him a missus. But yeah, these girls just answer it just fine. One of them's like, "Oh, I've got a friend that works in the sex industry." Like, "Oh yeah." I mean, there's one girl that just gets naked for no reason.
Yeah, she does.
So as well as the bizarre questions, I was going to say we just have shots of the various ladies doing, answering questions, but then also auditioning. So there's one girl just takes top off, just gets nude. It's not revealed whether that was asked of her.
No.
But it could have gone one of 2 ways, I suppose, given that it is asking some pretty weird and in-depth questions anyway.
Then we get to Asami's interview, which is right at the end of this said montage. And it's like, once the quick cuts, the montage is finished, they're like, okay, send in the next interviewee. You then know that this is the one. You're obviously not going to be any of the other 20 women we've just seen. Now that we're focusing on this young lady, we know it's going to be her. She states she was pursuing a career in ballet until injuries ended her aspirations, which we later on find out what the injuries exactly were in a way, and who gave her the injuries. Even though, I mean, the injuries she gets aren't that. You can still be a ballet dancer.
It's not. I wouldn't have said it was career ending, but
no, I think it was more mentally straining on her from what happened.
Yes, I don't know what she's playing at. It's a lot of fuss over nothing.
Exactly. Get back up. Get on that pole and doing some ballet. They have a pole, I meant. I didn't.
Oh,
mean
yeah.
I meant the horizontal
mate, that's
pole.
not a ballet. I don't know what you've been led to believe.
Wait, I'm thinking the ballet. I'm thinking
I
Homer
think-
when he thinks it's the bear on the car.
I think it's referred to as a bar in ballet. A pole is something entirely different.
What's a pole when it's a bar? One's horizontal, one's vertical.
Yeah, but in the terms of ladies dancing round it, it's very different.
They're still dancing around it.
One of them you throw dollars, the other one you clap politely.
Yeah. Very little thing. Not important to the film. Just what happens in this mine. We get some quick cuts every now and then of like skyline of Tokyo. It's outskirts of Tokyo. I'm always expecting to see Godzilla
with everything. If it's set in Japan,
everything.
where's Godzilla? I'm just waiting for Godzilla to turn up.
When do we get Audition versus Godzilla?
Audition versus Godzilla. I mean, that would be like not that they ever should reboot this, but if you ever want to do an Audition reboot, make the exact same film but have a Godzilla attack just going on in the background.
Just in the background, yeah.
We don't focus on it at any point, but the effects of it haven't. You know what I mean? They'll be having an audition and things are shaking and falling off and we can hear Godzilla roaring and screaming in the background.
Well,
we never look directly at it, but there is a Godzilla event occurring.
So, like when we've got the scene, which actually I'll talk about next. After he's chosen Asami, they start to get closer, meet up, and they go for a drink. So they're having a drink at that little cafe. I would say they're having a beer at a cafe. But you're saying in the background there, just out the window, boom.
Yeah, people running, and their cars bouncing down and roll. Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
I mean,
that's the kind of remake I want.
That would have. I like that as a premise. That should happen. Somebody should make like a rom-com, but yeah, have a monster movie happening as a B plot in the background.
Yeah, that works for me.
I was going to say about his audition. His producer friend cottons on quite quickly that there's something not quite right about Asami.
Yeah, he clocks it pretty early on.
It doesn't really go into details, and I think we're just generally led to believe that he's got a bad vibe. But he basically says like, stay away from her, because she's trouble, with absolutely no evidence why she may be trouble. It's not until a little bit later on that we find out that a lot of the information that she's given is either... Well, no, it's not false, is it? It's just...
No, it's not false.
There's a darker twist to the various things. So she basically explains that she works part-time at a friend's bar, and that she has a patron that works as a record executive or something, who's basically paying her bills for her or something.
Yeah, there's a few things on her application that basically end up as dead ends, as I can never pronounce his name. Yasuhisa, the producer friend, tries to basically track down her references, and they all turn out to be dead ends. So there's the bar, which we then find out after Shigeharu ends up there. The owner was killed a year ago, very in a gruesome way. The producer, I remember we discover what happened.
He's been missing for about a year. I think it says he's been missing for 18 months. Yeah.
And then obviously the dance.
He's a manager. That's it. He's a manager. Is this record executive? Manager has been missing for 18 months.
Yeah. So basically, all of her leads, her references become dead ends, which obviously lead to her becoming a little bit more suspicious in the long run. Sorry. They never actually get. They never contact the where the producer is.
No, I don't think we find that out. I don't think we find that out at all. It's just we're just told that he's been missing for 18 months. I think by the end we can possibly assume that Asami's done him in.
Yes.
But yeah, there's no lead. There's no reference to where they actually end up. It's just, this person she claims is her manager. Although she does say in herself in her interview that she's not seen him or heard from him for a while. But obviously, of course she'd say that.
Of course she would.
But it's quite funny. The Mr. Yoshikawa, the audition, the producer, tries to warn Shikaru off by saying, "Oh, you don't know anything about this girl." Like, well, you don't know anything about any of them. That's the point of this whole exercise, isn't it? And surely the point of any audition that you don't know who the people are or what they're capable of.
Entirely correct. Yeah. Do we ever get? She's clearly out to wrong the men who have severely wronged her.
Mm-hmm.
We never get the answer or reasons to why she takes up the interview in the first place.
No, I suppose it's just a way for her to find another victim. Yeah. I guess. There isn't any rhyme or reason to it, but I suppose there's not any rhyme or reason to anything, because arguably she's punished the people that were directly abusive towards her.
Yeah.
So it's effectively a ballet teacher. We find out it's the ballet teacher and her stepfather.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can assume that possibly she's killed this manager of hers as well, given that he's been missing for such a long time. And she killed this bar manager as well. But yeah, it's, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? She's been broken and hurt by these people in the past and got her revenge on them, but then he's sort of too far gone that she now wants to punish all men or whatever. They have a conversation about it, or it might be sort of part of her monologuing at the end where she accuses him, or is it it might be in that weird drug sequence. She accuses him of having sex with a lot of these audition girls and not calling them back. So maybe has been an aspiring actress and has faced that as treatment, and because I think she also says but you've been different, you've been nice or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, mine's broken, too far gone. She kind of wants to punish him before he has the opportunity to do anything to her, I think, is also sort of part of her reasoning for it. Because spoiler, she cuts his foot off. I think she says something along the lines of, "If you can't run away from me if you don't have feet." So it's sort of like that.
Yeah, she does state that.
If I can't have you, nobody can have you. Sort of angle to it, whereby she wants to kill him or hurt him, so he can't do anything to her first, or leave her.
I found a thread here that someone had read the book and has found 6 answers. So Asami was repeatedly abused by her stepfather, who had no feet. When she was a child, she never learned to overcome the trauma of this abuse. I mean, that alone gives an answer to most of the film.
Yeah.
And her reasons. Any man who lied or used Asami would remind her of her stepfather. So she felt that the man who also deserved to look like him by cutting off his feet.
Right.
There was never a man in the sack. This was just a nightmare scene used explicitly in the movie. The missing record producer, Mr. Shibata, had a heart condition unbeknownst to Asami and died of a heart attack on the spot while she was cutting off his feet. Asami had numerous victims, one whom spotted her in a restaurant with Apiyama and promptly had his mother wheel him out of a wheelchair in a panic. That's got to be book related only.
Yeah. I did pick up the book, by the way, because I thought I've just watched the film. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I probably will do at some point, but yeah, I was like, I've literally just watched the film. I'm not gonna get this just now.
At the end, after Simon was kicked down the stairs, spoiler, although she had broken bones, which very weird, and you see the bit of her neck just sort of fidgeting.
Yeah.
When she's been kicked down the stairs. She was still alive and continued to choose Ayama's son, shouting liar over and over. Ayama's son was forced to kill her brutally with an axe. Okay, that is very different to the film. Because that doesn't happen. She gets kicked down the stairs by Shigeru's son.
And that's it.
He returns, and that's it. Cuts.
Yeah. Which is odd in a film that has a reputation as being like really, really brutal and really violent, to cut out arguably something that would fit quite perfectly in there.
Yeah. And the dog doesn't die. Gangu doesn't die.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed as well. There was the great scene where they're having a beer, where they're really getting to know each other. They're having a beer at a little cafe. The scene, the conversation somewhat continues, but their location changes. So they start off at the cafe daytime. It then changes to night. They then end up at the restaurant having a meal. Mm-hmm. But the voiceover audio of the conversation just continues.
Yeah.
So it's very seamlessly cut. I really like that. Like, it's showing how long they've been talking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you also, by chance, notice? I don't know if you noticed. After the date, they're in the cab, and they're being driven home, and she mentions, "Oh, you can stop here."
Yeah.
And they get out.
Mm-hmm.
She just gets out without opening the door. Did you notice that at all?
No, I didn't notice that.
Well, that's not a mistake. Cabs in Japan, the drivers, they have a little switch where they say you hear the cab.
Oh, they can open the door.
Car turns up, the door opens for you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
it's like another world over there, isn't it?
It's the best. It's the absolute best. Oh, I love it. I love it. Can't wait to get back there. But yeah, it's just one of those little things that someone might notice going, hang on a minute. She didn't even open the door. She just somehow tucked and roll and fell out of the car. Yeah. So towards the end, they go on a little trip into the countryside.
Mm-hmm. This is when she reveals that she was in a fire.
Yeah. Shows him her scars on the legs, which we not so long after this discover how she got her scars. She then disappears, but he begins to sort of realize the error of his ways with the interviews and the deception.
Yeah.
You kind of see like the prospect of loneliness rear its ugly head with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's really like feeling a bit remorse. It seems.
I think it's that, and also like she's disappeared, and he's trying to find her. She's ghosting him.
Fully disappeared.
Yeah, and he's like fully invested and is desperately trying to find out where she is, which is how we end up finding out that a lot of what she spoke about in this audition was has a more macabre twist to it, because he goes and checks out the bar and stuff.
Well, he checks out the dance studio, which is all boarded up, and just a lonely man playing the piano in a wheelchair with his prosthetic feet.
Mm-hmm.
Which we find out this is the guy that had abused her when she was younger.
Yeah, he's the piano teacher. He's just playing a piano. The ballet teacher.
Yeah, he had scarred her with what looks like very hot incense sticks.
I thought they were like metal chopsticks or something. But he's basically got a little pot, like a brazier, with hot coals in there, and I did think incense sticks, but then it's sort of two sort of metal rods. They're about the length of chopsticks, and he sort of brands her for refusing to dance or not dancing well enough. It's not really clear, but it's that sort of more stick than carrot approach to tuition.
Very much so. Very much so. He then also proceeds to the said bar, but then, as we mentioned earlier, it's closed. We get Mr. Exposition, who I love
Mr.
explains
Exposition.
everything. He just explains everything. Knows everything.
Well, I mean, it does. This is the thing, though. He does live above.
He lives there, yeah.
The bar where this brutal murder took place, and they found extra body parts in there and all of this sort of stuff. And he's just like, right, I'm going now. Bye. Lets himself into his feet. Like, yeah. Oh, that bar hasn't been open for ages. Yeah, loads of people killed in there. It's horrible. There was blood everywhere. There was a tongue on the floor that wasn't belonging to any of the victims. Anyway, me ice cream's melting. I better go. Like, I've got stuff for the freezer. I better get on.
But the scene in general, though, because we get a bit of a POV of Shigehiro walking around down some stairs, turn right down some stairs. It's quite eerie round there.
Yeah, it's very sort of like, run down. Like,
I mean, Japan's incredibly safe. I'd feel safe there no matter what, but the way it's lit, the way it looks.
Yeah, it's supposed to look a bit unsavory.
And even Mr. Exposition, I'm calling him Mr. Exposition. Yeah. He states the building's 28 years old and is tilted. And I quite like that as they're talking, the camera's at an angle as well. Just, I don't know if it's intentional, but it's quite a nice little thing. He states it's tilted, the camera's tilted, yeah. Lighting's very ominous and like deep, dark purple and reds. And we get a lot of Shigehiro has a lot of like visions and hallucinations throughout this film, especially here where he's hallucinating and seeing the chopped tongue and the floor and the fingers,
vividly imagining. I mean, that chopped tongue is quite funny. It's a little rubber flappy thing. Looks like that toy they used to get out on Graham Norton all the time.
What? I don't.
You don't remember that? It's like Graham Norton show, and there was let's say an Ann Summers adult relief product.
Okay, yeah. Was this when he was on Channel 4 and it wasn't so much a classy talk show?
Yes, it was, back in the early days where they used to just like ring up shops that had like vaguely dirty innuendo names. And,
I remember this.
And all have a giggle. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
They find that, and I mean, immediately after that, we get the POV Evil Dead-esque shot of.
Yes.
This is it's just after that where it kicks off properly.
Pretty much where Asami, she snuck into his house. I wonder if it's the point of when she spots the picture of Ryoko, his deceased ex-wife. Maybe that's where like, jealousy and rage builds up in her. I mean, she was clearly going to do what she was going to do.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what solidifies her decision of what she's going to do.
Possibly. Because again, in a monologue, there's a talk about, or she says it earlier to him in the film, but it comes back later. This line about loving nobody else but me. You'll only love me and nobody else, and that as far as she's concerned, that includes his children as well. The fact that he's got a son, like, is basically a problem for her as well.
I mean, actually, now you're saying that, I think you hit the nail on the head with a somewhat comparison to Misery with Kathy Bates' character, where it was all about me. It was me. I want the book written this way. I want my characters that to me are real written this way, and to have their story end the way I want. Otherwise, my life is incomplete. Whereas Asami wants what she wants and will do what it takes to get what she wants, or treat the men however she feels they deserve to be treated.
Yeah.
It's very me. The thing with Ryoko's picture, there's a point where he's looking at the applications earlier on, and he turns her picture away.
Yeah.
It's still there, but he turns it away.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I don't know how it'd feel to lose a spouse like that, but
no.
Yeah, you're not. You'd be kind of mildly embarrassed, I suppose, about the fact that you're thinking about meeting somebody else or whatever. But yeah, like you said, Asami finds that picture, and that is probably it's proof to her that she's not going to be the sole focus. It's like it's almost like the disappearing act that she does is like that test of how devoted to me are you? If you're not going to like try and track me down,
yeah,
then it's not for me. Game playing, man.
She also we get a couple of those scenes throughout the film of her sat in her little ryokan apartment, and when the phone rings, we get the close up look on her face, which is when earlier on when he's rung her, obviously trying to get ask her to go out on a date with him. Mm-hmm. We get the close up shot of her face, and she kind of looks up slowly and smiles. Yeah, and it's at that point you know more so she knows that right, we're on. Yeah. We're on. He doesn't know it, but she does. Like, okay, we're on.
And there is that sort of sense that she has done nothing but just sit by the phone waiting.
Yeah, biding her time. Yeah. So she snuck into the house. Shigehiro returns from work, and as she's POVing around, she spots the whiskey, which has been prevalent throughout the film. Mm-hmm. You know, they drink it at the bar. He has some at home. She's clearly drugged it because he has a glass of it. Completely knocked him for 10. Knocks him out. Knocked him for 10. Knocked him for 10. No, that's not the phrase. 6. It's a cricket phrase. Knocked him for 6. You're a British man, Tom. Come on, get it right. And he's out. He's out like a light. And now this is where we get quite a long scene of different visions and hallucinations again. But it's weird how it's portrayed because he's knocked out. So how is this being portrayed? Do you reckon? Like,
it's like a drug-induced dream, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah. And it's not entirely clear when it ends. There was a couple of points where I thought, like, oh, we're back to where we should be, but and it's sort of like that slotting in, like piecing the puzzle together and showing us everything that has happened in the past, and he's sort of he's there to witness it, and
some of it I can understand. Whereas there was the woman at his office,
his assistant, who
somewhat seems a bit. I don't want to say desperate, but
they have a very strange interaction at the beginning where she basically tells him she's getting married.
Yeah,
and he's kind of indifferent about it. And I mean, beyond the sort of like basic pleasantries, and she seems kind of put out by his response. And then we get during this sort of extended dream sequence the revelation that he'd basically had sex with her and fobbed her off, like not called her again, which I suppose fits. I'm willing to accept that as being that's a revelation. The drug-induced coma visions that we're seeing are depictions of true events, that some stuff he's effectively kept hidden, because it does works really well with that sort of awkward interaction at the beginning, where she's telling him that she's getting married as if to sort of say, like, you know, F you, I'm moving on, sort of thing. And we find out why, like, right at the end. And I guess it shows that perhaps he's not as what's the word? Not needy, but less sympathetic, maybe. That he's not all in the same way that we see in Asami.
He's not as innocent as he's portrayed.
He's not as innocent as she seems. Then in the same way, he's not also as innocent as he seems. And again, that's not to say he deserves what he gets, but you know,
no,
I think it is maybe just a big part of Asami's motivation is like all men are bastards and all men are the same sort of thing. And there's maybe a little nod to say that, well, perhaps he's not as innocent as we think he is.
No, I mean, his I called it the dreamscape montage. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in two halves. You've got him being pleasured by Asami, which then turns into his assistant, and then turns into his son's new girlfriend.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's which is it's very very strange, and I can understand that being his dreamscape, like hallucinations. These are people he's interacted with, but then we get he's in Asami's apartment.
Yeah,
the gentleman in the sack crawls out of it.
Yeah,
and feeds on a bowl of vomit that Asami has thrown up into. Said gentleman with fingers cut off and his tongue cut off. So the bar manager. But the fact is, has Shigehiro seen this apartment? So why would he be imagining or hallucinating with the sack, the person? Maybe he's hallucinating in the sense of he knows of what's happened to the guy at the bar. He's been told what's happened. So maybe he's thinking in his head now, shit, this is what's in her apartment.
Yeah,
this guy,
I just I guess you can explain it all the way with drugs did it. Like,
yeah, I'm trying not to look too deeply into it. I'm just trying to think. Okay, he's never been to this apartment. He doesn't know.
No,
we've seen the sack.
No, but we've seen it. I suppose that's the thing.
Yeah.
I suppose we've seen it, so to put him somewhere else would be confusing for us.
Yeah.
So it has to be the same apartment, so we can make that connection. I guess it could just be another apartment, but make it exactly the same place because us as the audience, that's what we've seen, so that's what we're familiar with. Yeah, it is. We get the ballet teacher turning up again, and Asami cuts his head off. It is just a one big extended montage of drugged out hallucinations and replays of past conversations that sort of piece all the puzzles together and give us a fuller picture of the abuse that Asami's endured that's sort of taken her to this place, and also, like, as we said, that sort of nod that perhaps her victims aren't as innocent as we might initially think.
Yeah, this is where you just mentioned about the decapitated. She in the vision she decapitates the ballet dance instructor. The piano wire. We get the little description of what piano wire can do.
Yeah.
Even that
easily
goes through bone like butter. But even that, how slow and what are you laughing?
I'm just thinking somebody needs to recut the audio of her talking with Bricktop,
like the videos of Snatch Wars, Star Wars with Bricktop. Yeah, but she's so methodical and slow about it, and that is what's always more disturbing.
Yeah,
she's not just quickly wrapping it around.
Oh yeah, no,
he doesn't struggle. He's kind of smiling, and she just does it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe takes two to three slices and it's gone.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that's real. That's kind of we don't know if that's actually took place or not. I'm guessing maybe not. That's another sort of hallucination. I don't know. I like to. It's certainly not implied, but I like to think in that sequence that he's sort of he's not completely unconscious. He's drifting in and out of consciousness. So he can perhaps see her unpacking the piano wire and things like that, and that's why that's filtering in. And he has met. I just randomly want to go back to the ballet teacher and his weird prosthetic feet.
Yeah.
Are they like he's got like skin boots on?
Yeah,
over like metal prosthetics.
Yeah, all tied up like they were boots.
Yeah,
like laces. Yeah,
like the skin of his
odd.
feet have been flayed and made into booties to cover his prosthetic. Like that is just horrible on its own. That's like something from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's really gruesome.
Skin booties, and I couldn't. All the way through, I was thinking like, has he done this, or did Asami do this, or what is this? Why is this a thing?
Yeah,
I don't
you don't
get
really
the
get
answer for it, but it's just
there, because
it's just a bit of shock, just to make it a bit more gruesome, I suppose.
Yeah. So he wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
She has got a nice little outfit on, in the sense of she is equipped, ready to go for whatever
hostile
very
vibes.
hostile.
Yeah, nice
I mean,
rubber.
Clearly influencing Hostel.
A rubber apron and arm length gloves. Yeah, she's ready for business.
I want to start by saying an injection into the tongue is a big no from me.
Fair.
It really is. Things like this can be more disgusting to me than gore.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean the stuff as we're about to get onto, the stuff with the acupuncture needles is worse and more uncomfortable than watching the foot get sawn off or watching the head get cut off. I'm like, because that's too. I mean, touch wood. That's too,
it will never happen.
Too far removed from anything that could that'll happen to me.
We'll see about
that. but you know, it's more likely that I could jab myself in the finger with the tongue with a needle, or have to get an injection in the tongue for like a dental procedure or something. And
also, I hope that needle's clean. Oh,
yeah, it's always little things like that occur to me as, oh, that needle will be filthy. I mean, that's not the point, Aidan. It's don't worry about that. But
no, the point is that things like that in Silent Hill 2 remake that came out last month.
Mm-hmm.
One of your healing items is a syringe. You pick up a dirty syringe and just oh my god, the thought process.
You survive the horrors of Silent Hill and/or Asami coming after you with piano wire, only to then die of like blood poisoning later from a rusty needle.
Like, you know, clear. Okay, get off this a sec. Clearly, what's terrifying is someone trying to attack you with a sharp object, right? No one wants that in life.
Yeah,
it's
but
very
germs,
scary.
Tom, germs.
But someone jumping out, some crazy guy jumping out of a bush with a needle. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Sticking you with a needle.
Yeah. I've worked on sites where we've had like sharps bins, and you know it's been an area for the drug use and paraphernalia and stuff like that, and it's it always
some freebies.
Creeps me out thinking that I might stick my hand somewhere and come out with a syringe in it. Yeah.
Saw 2, the
terrifying.
syringe pit.
Yeah, that is horrible.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I have I think reasonably healthy fear of using needles.
I think it's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, fair enough.
So then she proceeds to just calmly, methodically sticks they are acupuncture.
I think they are legit proper acupuncture needles, because I mean that she essentially what she's doing is acupuncture for pain initiation rather than pain relief. So, because I think she says like, "Oh, these are the most sensitive spots where you'll be able," because she's drugged him and she explains that his nerve endings will be more sensitive now and he'll be able to feel pain more.
And she states where it's more painful.
Yeah, and then she's sticking those needles where it is especially more painful. I mean, in the eyes, 100% without a doubt, but definitely more painful. Definitely painful to have needles in. But yeah, there's also like a spot on the around the chest and stuff where she's like, "Oh, this is a specific pain center," and she jabs needles in there, and then what does she say? Deeper, deeper, deeper. She's putting them in.
Deep. Yeah. I mean, there's no score, there's no soundtrack when this is happening. It's very unnerving when she's doing it. You can just hear him sort of writhing in pain because he's still a bit paralyzed, but she's so calm, not angry.
Yeah, you can't really vocalize it or anything either. He's just sort of like. It almost sounds like he's moaning with pleasure in a few instances, because he's, you know, and I don't think that's just what it sounds like. I don't think that's any sort of deliberate thing or commentary or anything like that. It's just, he can't vocalize the pain properly.
And in my opinion, as bad as her sticking the needles into him were, it's when she then jumps on his lap, but she then moves up towards his stomach where she's been stabbing him with them. And I'm just thinking, she's just sat on them, which has probably dug them deeper or twisted them.
That is making me see that is worse. That's making me like shiver and give me the
That's
willies.
what got me. Yeah.
Don't like that.
And then proceeds, obviously, to work on his eyes. We don't know exactly where. She states, I believe, under the eyelids.
Yeah, I don't think they're directly. I don't think there's anything directly in the eyeball that it looks like, but it all seems to be sort of in and around. But I mean, that's again makes me
still
feel horrible thinking about that. But yeah, sort of in and around and under the eye socket, and enough.
And and his son finally arrives home. We haven't really mentioned much of his son, but I mean, not a bad character. He's very into dinosaurs.
He's very into dinosaurs. He's got himself a little girlfriend.
Wants what's best for his dad.
He does what's best for his dad. I think one thing we should mention about the son is he brings up the prospect of his dad remarrying.
Yeah,
it's him that sort of instigates it and says, like, you know, have you thought about it? I mean, they seem to have a good relationship. They go fishing and stuff together. Again, this is something that Asami mentions. It's like you have a son and you love him, and that so already you wouldn't love only me. But yeah, he comes home. Like, how long is that conversation? He's shouting through the house before he actually walks into the room. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm home. This has happened.
Yeah.
What, have you done this? I'm going to like
still going."
And we're just like, just walk in the room, for crying out loud.
But as he does, obviously, Asami runs away, tries to hide, but not before picking up what I would assume is it's a spray, but has some sort of paralysis.
Oh yeah.
Chemical concoction in it.
Chloroform spray or something.
Yeah.
Knockout gas.
And when he walks in and sees his dad on the floor, Shigehiro tries to sort of use his facial expressions to show that she's right behind you.
Yeah.
We get a little. Is this where we get another little hallucination or vision? It does cut quickly. I can't remember exactly where. I wonder if I can find it on internetarchive.com.
It cuts back to him being in bed with her. Back to.
That's it.
Back to the weekend away or whatever that they had.
Yeah,
he's back in there. It's like the sort of post-coitus moment. So it's almost like they had they went away on this weekend. They had sex. He fell asleep, dreamt this entire thing, and then he's just sort of waking up. Yeah, and I was wondering for a second if that was going to be a legit bait and switch, and it was going to be a dream. And
he'd completely forgotten as well. Before the sun comes in, his foot gets chopped off.
Oh yeah, we did glance.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
forgot about that little aspect of the
torture.
It
was so easy with that piano wire. It just slides, just slips right off. Yeah, she cuts his foot off.
Little shackles on his feet and piano wire wrapped around. Little bits that really make it effective was when she really wraps the wire around her wrist and grabs tight and then starts to pull.
Oh yeah, we don't see very much of it. Like,
no, you don't need to. It's implied.
A lot of it is implied. We don't have a lot of. There's not for something that has a reputation as being really quite violent and gory. That you don't really see all that much of it. It's a similar effect to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where a lot of it, I think, it's probably people's imagination filling in blanks later. I mean, there is some blood. Like, don't get me wrong, you do the after stuff, but you don't really see like extended scenes of this with the camera focused on this foot being cut off or anything.
Well, you get the point. Once it's off, she just picks it up and chucks it aside, hits the window.
And we have that. That's a good scene the good shot where we come outside of the building and we're looking at through the like patio window or whatever it is, and it goes completely silent. We don't hear anything.
Silent.
Apart from the traffic, I think we can hear the traffic outside or whatever, but we can't hear anything of what's going on in the room. And then apart from the thud of the foot hitting the window as she just sort of tosses it to one side. Yeah, I did really like that. It's a nice shot and weirdly like kind of perverse that it puts you in that position of just sort of watching it through a window.
Yeah, it's like you're watching someone torture someone else, can't look away. She does. That's when she begins to start on the second foot, and then obviously the son walks in.
Yeah, that's when the son comes in. Yeah.
So she runs away, tries to attack the son after the son's called the police, and the chase doesn't really go on for that long. At the end, it's very quick.
No, very
just
quick.
runs up the stairs. She follows him, and he ends up tripping, but ends up then kicking her back down the stairs. She flies down that stairway, lands very, very awkwardly. I would assume breaks her neck.
Well, we see
something around the neck because the bones are
there's
just
some sort of like
ugh.
bulbous protrusion. Yeah, and then we have that scene where she's talking. She's or he's imagining hearing her voice, and she's talking about how she'd sat waiting for his call, and she'd never met a man like him, etc., etc. I kind of felt sorry for her at the end. I was like, she clearly needed help, but was very much a victim for most of her life, and it's led to a sort of having these these delusions and this taking these actions. But it's quite a sad tale on balance at the end, I think.
It is, and I don't mean that. I don't think we should mean that in the sense of poor woman. Like she's done some bad things.
Oh yeah.
But she's also had bad things done to her.
Yeah.
But it just all in all, it's a. Yeah, it is a. No one wins in this story whatsoever.
No. They say, she's still, a horrible sadistic murderer, but she has suffered herself.
Yeah, entirely.
And but it is that end sort of little declaration where she's saying like, "Oh, I met never had another man like you," sort of thing. Just kind of pose the question as to like, well, was there something that triggered it? If he did seem to be so wonderful, what triggered this decision to still hurt him, or is it that like, if I can't have you, I'll make sure you can never leave me by torturing you and cutting your feet off? Was she just going to pick up after that and be like, right, so all good now? Just had to get that out of the system.
I wonder, would it have been nice to have a bit more on-screen exposition or footage showing her past and really what happened to her, or just leaving it up to us to sort of decipher and work out?
Yeah, I don't think it's. Maybe we see some more of the stepfather. Because we only in terms of like not that I want. I'm really carefully trying to avoid saying I want to see more footage of somebody being abused by a parent. That's absolutely not what I want to see at all. But as an antagonist, we only see the ballet teacher, and we only see his his attack, his branding her, burning her, whatever.
Yeah, we don't see anything happens with the bar either or anything like that.
We could. Yeah, there could maybe have been a scene. The only evidence stepfather we get is the bag, him coming out of the bag, which, as we said, happens in a dream sequence, a drug sequence. So we don't really know what's going on. We don't really know for certain that that's the stepfather in that bag. Probably not. It could be somebody else. So yeah, maybe there could have been it wouldn't have to be extended scenes, but just some other shots of, getting a clip around the ear roll or whatever. I don't know.
The guy in the bag's missing his tongue and fingers, which are the extra components that were found.
Yeah.
With the bar situation, so it could be.
But we don't know. We don't know who that is.
No. Yeah. It kind of just ends there.
And it kind of yeah, that is the
just
that
end.
is
We don't know what
literally the
happens.
end. She has this little talk about he was potentially the one, and she dies, and that's it. We don't get any sort of aftermath or anything. It's roll credits time, and yeah, I was happy with it. I was happy. I did, like I said, I did strongly feel like I probably won't rush to watch this again anytime soon. I don't think I'd say I'd never watch it again. I think I probably would. Especially after talking about it now, I feel like there's maybe a little bit more to analyze. It could, but I wouldn't rush to watch it again necessarily. If I was watching it, it's just purely for entertainment value. It's
completely.
It can wait a good long while. But yeah, glad to have watched it and glad to have finally checked it off the list, because I feel like it's one of those films that comes up quite often in top 100 lists. Maybe not necessarily high up on them, but it's usually in there. And I think, like The Ring, it's a sort of top tier example of Asian horror or Japanese horror. Or,
completely.
So, it for my own personal view, it feels good to have sort of like, I can tick that one off and say, I've seen that now.
What was the was it Variety? The last episode we were talking about horror lists, and I think it was Variety. One of the lists was awful. One of them was okay, somewhat okay. One of them had Texas Chainsaw Massacre as number 1. Be interesting to see on these where this falls.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm looking at Variety's list now. Although whether this is...
I think it might have been Variety. If it was, where does this stand? But the problem is with the Variety, you've got to go through them all.
Yeah,
there must be somewhere else.
One is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2 is The Exorcist, 3 is Psycho, 4 is Jaws, 5 Rosemary's Baby. So, Audition 7.
7.
Yeah, so Night of the Living Dead at number 6, Audition 7, Frankenstein 1931 at number 8.
7.
Salo at number 9.
Harry
at number 10. That feels like a bit of an odd pick, but that's not a bad top 10 overall, to be honest. That's pretty decent. But yeah, number 7.
Are you looking at the Letterboxd page?
No, this is Variety.com.
How the fuck is Salo at number 9?
I don't know. You've got Alien at number, and Carrie's at number 10. You've got Alien at 11. That's
Salo shouldn't be on this list whatsoever. No. Oh my god! You're telling me? Salo is better than Alien
and Halloween and The Shining, apparently.
And Dawn of the Dead, and
Blair
Scream,
Witch Project, and Scream,
and The Wicker Man.
Bullshit.
What the?
Yeah, I mean, and higher than Ringu. I mean,
everything. Yeah, that's. Yeah. But the fact that Audition is 7 as well is.
Yeah, that's not
pretty.
That's too good of a position for it, I think. I mean, talking about in terms of talking about every horror film ever. Absolutely, it should not be placed that high. But I do feel like it usually crops up sort of in the middle, around the 60s or something like that. I think it deserves a place in a top 100 list. I don't understand why people.
I agree.
Talk about it. I understand why it is it is an iconic pick. Didn't quite deliver the level of, like, I don't know, gore and depravity that perhaps I was expecting based on having heard people talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think certainly not saying that's what a horror film needs to be good. But yeah, it wasn't quite as extreme as I was preparing myself for it to be, I suppose.
I get that. I finally get that. Yeah, I think that is a problem with it, where people some people might give the impression that you've got to check out Audition. It's crazy that it can be overhyped, and the overhype can ruin it, like much marketing does for a lot of horror films. But
yeah, it definitely gets talked about. It definitely gets talked about in that way. Yeah.
Well, good pick. Very good pick. I'm glad we did it. I'm really glad we did it, because I've been actually wanting to watch this again for a long time, and I'm glad I've had a reason to now.
Yeah.
Next time, maybe not so much. On the next episode of this Dreadcast. The next episode, if you've made it all this way, God bless you, is a little known film called The Suckling.
Where we can get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Suckling.
Yeah.
You've been dying to watch this. You've seen this before, haven't you, as well?
I have seen this before, unfortunately. It's just once again, you need to go in blind with this film, but you also need to have a preface of this is a real film. This is a real film.
I've read the 4-line little blurb from. I don't know where it's from. It's just what comes up on Google. Shall I read that out?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
It's just a little, very brief plot synopsis. After a woman goes to a back alley abortion clinic, her aborted fetus attacks her boyfriend, and everyone else at the place.
Yes, that is correct. Yes. Yes. So yes. Yeah, folks, that'll be the fun little film we look at next time on the Dreadcast. It was more so because it was a Christmas present to yourself.
It was.
Last year or the year before.
Yes.
And I accidentally bought 2, so I've got one myself. So figured, let's get that ticked off before you hit the road. So yeah, we'll look at that next time. Not sure on a specific date yet, as we are just sort of winding down towards the end of the year. So we're going to spread them out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the next 2 weeks. Do them every couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks' time should be good.
Gives us a bit of a time for breather. So yeah, Suckling. End of the year, we'll be looking at Dawn of the Dead. And we still need to work out.
And we still need to work out an interim. I've got a couple of ideas. I'm not entirely. I'm mainly debating with which way to go at the minute. Not necessarily specific film wise, but sort of genre, tone, and mood. I'm kind of tempted to maybe put something a little bit more lighthearted in there, but then we've got The Suckling. So
yeah,
I
got The Suckling. Yeah.
I was dancing around doing something like maybe Reanimator, like a well-known but kind of comedy horror thing. But I don't know.
Too. Well, you'll pick. So whenever you
I'm mulling it over.
Let us know on the next episode.
Will do.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Audition. Suckling next, Dawn of the Dead in the month, and then mystery film coming soon, and come back in the new year, fresh start, fresh coat of paint, and we will not be going anywhere. Remember, send the mailbag, thedreadcastpodcast@gmail.com. Send your lovely quips, trivia, questions, and newsletters, whatever, into that. Pictures of your pets, we'll love to see it. Head on over to TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, _Dreadcast, where you can find mostly on the TikTok and Instagram. Mm-hmm. Twitter's just shit.
I think people
are just
increasingly just bailing on it like a rats from a sinking ship. From what I've seen, there's a lot more people going to, is it Blue Sky or something, and Threads.
Yeah.
Although I've had a Threads page for a couple of weeks now, and nobody knows it's there. I don't know how.
Yeah, Twitter was literally bought just to win a presidency, but we won't get into that just now. So yeah, head on over to the TikTok and the Instagram, _Dreadcast. I keep up to date with what's going on with the show on TikTok and other fan antics on there. You can interact more on there. And you can find this in all past content on all major streaming platforms and the YouTube. And I do believe that's it. So until next time with the Suckling, go watch it, folks. We'll see you then.
Bye.